Konnichiwa from Tokyo, Japan. We are here in Shinjuku. We're about to go see the Samurai Restaurant Show. This is the successor of the Robot Restaurant Show. The Robot Restaurant Show is over. It is done. You cannot see it anymore, and it has been replaced by the Samurai Restaurant Show. So it should be very interesting. It'll be wacky, colorful, weird, and I'm not really sure exactly what to expect, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Another big thing about today is that it is our last full day in Tokyo. So we have been here for 33 days so far, and we are leaving tomorrow. We've got a lot of thoughts on our month here in Tokyo, and after we see the show, I'm going to go through all of the last remaining ideas we have about our time here in Tokyo. There's a lot of cool stuff in this area. Look at this reception room. We have been seated at our place, and so far it's been very eye-opening.
Cameo?
Is that what it's called?
Something like that. So.
Carl had to put on this outfit because he was wearing shorts. And the people on stage are wearing almost nothing, so that's interesting. Anyway, we've been given these bentos. I guess we're gonna eat them.
See what we got?
That's really pretty. Oh, looks great.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good.
They have salmon. That's suspicious. All of Tokyo hasn't had the raw salmon for like 2 weeks, so we're suspicious of why they happen to have it here.
I'm going to say 3, 2, 1. I'm going to count 3, 2, 1. And everyone say kanpai at the same time. Then we have sake together. Sounds fair enough. Please raise the bottle for Kayla. Alright, thank you. And as I mentioned, you can take photos or videos if you'd like to. Are you guys excited for the next show?
So the pre-show is over now. The actual Samurai Restaurant show has begun. There's a whole bunch of intermissions in between each performance, so that's kind of nice because you can, sit here and chat and make an evening of it as well. So that's pretty awesome. What do you think of the show so far?
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I like the structure. Like 10-minute show, 5-minute show. Now.
Yeah.
The actual acts they're all so different. I mean, it's got a samurai show, but
So far, we've seen very little samurai-esque stuff, but we kind of can tell the plot. There's like 2 evil spirit masters, and they're calling the Japanese ghosts. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, the dancing is very good actually, I think, and the costumes are fantastic. It's quite a spectacle. That show was pretty cool, you know, something to do on a Monday afternoon, I guess.
It looks like 9, but it's only, what, 5 o'clock?
Yeah, it's only 5.
That was a great show.
Oh, it was
it's
fantastic.
like a show I've never seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called the Samurai Restaurant, and I've read a lot of reviews in the past about both the robot restaurant and this samurai restaurant, and a lot of people are saying the food is really bad. The food's not very good. Like, people don't come for the food, obviously.
I'd go there with the food. The food was incredible.
The food was really good. We had the sushi bento, and it was very good quality sushi, in fact. And people were ordering tons of stuff, tons of food and tons of drinks, snacks, you name it, and it looked pretty good. I've been confused for a while as to why it's called the Samurai Restaurant and not the Samurai Show. But after actually being there, I understand it a lot better now. With all of the intermissions in between all of the acts, basically they're for you to be drinking and eating. The show is just kind of like in between all of that more than anything else. The intermissions probably will go on for sometimes up to 20 minutes. I can understand why it's called a restaurant now. It's an experience over several hours. You're there to socialize and drink and eat, and then you're also seeing a show. The performance itself, I thought, was very Japanese. I felt like they must have taken that from some sort of video game or manga or something like that.
Oh, there was a musical note from Final Fantasy X.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know that. A lot of battle scenes, Japanese imagery. Obviously, it's a samurai show. The costumes were fantastic. The sets, so detailed. And the dancing was fantastic as well. They performed with such enthusiasm. They just looked like they were loving what they were doing.
So full of smiles, and like, you know, when you're recording something like that, people kind of shy away, but they were just smiling away.
Oh yeah, they were having a great time. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had those light batons and kind of could get involved, you know. So it was a lot of fun. What a way to end our time in Tokyo. Really finishing it off with a bang, so to speak. So now we're just gonna go for one last meal in Tokyo before we head back for our last night in the city. So we've left the Samurai Restaurant show, whatever it was. We had an excellent meal in one of the alleys outside of Shinjuku, and we had even had a little celebratory dessert for our last night in Tokyo, because yes, we've spent 33 days in Tokyo, and tomorrow we are flying away to the Philippines. After this 1 month here, we have many thoughts about our month here. So what was the highlight for you of Tokyo?
It's so hard to pick one highlight, that's not fair.
We did so many different things, very varied activities. So we saw Sensoji Temple, Meiji Shrine, Yoyogi Park, the Imperial Palace, as well as more modern things like exploring Shinjuku, Shibuya, Harajuku. We saw the Art Aquarium Museum, the Team Planets, as well as, of course, Disneyland, Disney Sea, and then we did a huge day trip to Mount Fuji yesterday. So we did so many different things, very varied activities here in Tokyo. Pretty difficult to choose a favorite. I think one of the amazing things about the past month is that I put a lot of research in, so I knew what we were getting into, more or less, but everything was a highlight. Like, nothing was a disappointment in any way. In fact, everything, I would say almost everything, surpassed my expectations. That samurai show was absolutely awesome. I would highly recommend to anyone coming to Tokyo. So I was very prepared for this trip, but also feel like I had several culture shocks, enjoyable culture shocks, I will say. So the language barrier was a much bigger challenge than I was expecting. Very few people speak English here. We've encountered maybe 5 people that have actually been speaking fluent English, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the touristy parts, obviously there's a better chance. But if you just go into a random Japanese restaurant, that's a low chance. Like, no chance they're going to speak fluent English, but a very low chance they can ask you, do you want more order?
Searching for a restaurant, it's particularly difficult because a lot of times the restaurants don't have any sort of English to indicate what kind of food is in the restaurant. So even if you went to order off a menu, you don't even know what it is that you're ordering because it's all in kanji. So we could get by more or less by looking at the pictures and just pointing randomly and hoping for the best. And that worked out very well every time we did that.
Yeah, it did. Sometimes they ask you questions if you want thick noodles or thin noodles, or if you want, I don't know, spicy or not spicy or something. That gets lost in translation.
Sometimes you just have to roll with it, or sometimes you get charged a price at the end of the meal that you don't really understand why, but you can't read the receipt and you cannot explain to them that this is what you thought you ordered. So that has been a problem for us. That being said, I didn't expect everything to be in English. It was a challenge trying to figure that out, is all I'm saying. Another challenge we came across was trying to sort out the trains. Ironically, because we're trying to find our way to our train in the Shinjuku station. But in other metro stations around the world, we found it much easier to get around from place to place. But in Tokyo, there are many, many different lines and they're all owned by different companies. So when you go from train to make connections, you oftentimes have to purchase a different ticket and exit and enter, and sometimes that can be really confusing. We struggle with that a little bit. Overall, the train system is fantastic and it's on time and all that as well. So
There is an IC card though, isn't there?
yes.
Some card.
So usually there is a Suica card or a Pasmo card that you can get to just beep on and off, and then it's easy. Unfortunately, at the time that we came, they're no longer issuing those cards. They're taking a break from issuing them for whatever reason at the moment. There is something called the IC card that you can get right now, but it's really difficult to come by. Apparently you can only get it in one station. We've just never really found ourselves in that station to get it, so we've just been purchasing individual tickets, which is a little bit inconvenient.
Please stand behind the yellow line.
Another challenge that we've faced in the last month is trying to book things online. Obviously, Tokyo has many, many popular attractions that people want to see and a ton of people. So it is necessary to make reservations for almost everything. And they don't make it easy, to be honest. The websites are usually not very user-friendly and also very difficult to use if you don't have a Japanese phone. So we found it really difficult to get reservations for certain things, and even some things we weren't even able to get them for. So we missed out on the Ghibli Museum and the Pokemon Cafe, not just because of the Japanese thing, but also because things book up. They book up really, really quickly. And there's a couple of things that I thought, oh, I'm going to book this for tomorrow. But no, it's actually booked up for the next week and a half. So for things like the bus to Mount Fuji, I tried to book that for the next day and realized that, oh no, the bus is booked for the next 2 weeks, in fact. So we were very, very lucky that we had as much time here as we did, because we would have missed out on a lot of things because of lack of reservation areas. There were many things that I also found very pleasantly surprising as well. As we mentioned in our first couple videos, the streets are so quiet. Like, everything is so quiet. We were just on a train with about maybe 90 people in the car, and it was pure silence. It was so nice. Like, in any other place, that would be a chaotic mess of people shouting on phones and having loud, annoying conversations, but that just doesn't happen here. People are really considerate of others, and they keep the noise level to a minimum, which I find really amazing.
That is great, actually. And that train ride, I don't know if you noticed the guy beside me. Yeah, I sat beside him, and he just kind of fell asleep.
Oh yeah.
Then we got to his stop, he just woke up and got off. Like
How does he know?
Like he knew. And the next guy sat down beside me, and he fell asleep beside me, kind of leaned on me a little. I was just like, they get on the train, they sit down, they sleep, they wake up at their stop, and they get off. Like, it's so funny. If you look at, you're facing a group of 8 people.
6 of them are going to be asleep.
6 of them are asleep, 2 of them are on the phone.
Yeah.
Pure silence. Nobody bothers them.
On that note, people sleep everywhere here. In McDonald's, probably half the restaurant is asleep on the table.
Yeah.
We saw someone asleep, like, absolutely conked out on a statue one time, just like on a public statue. People in Tokyo can nap anywhere.
Like open-mouthed and everything.
Peaceful, honestly. Another thing we've talked about before is how clean the streets are. We often see people outside, like, sweeping the streets in the morning, just like outside their houses or outside the businesses. They keep the streets really tidy, which is a miracle because there are no garbage cans anywhere in the city. So it's a miracle how they keep it clean. But we figure it must be a mindset kind of thing. Like, people just want to keep the city clean, so they hoard their trash until they find a garbage, I guess. Something that really shocks me and continues to shock me, actually. A lot of people aren't living in high-rise apartments here. I expected to see the entire city just like with high-rise apartments. And while that does exist here a little bit, a lot of the city is individual homes, like detached houses. That is not something I expected to see here whatsoever. Yeah, the houses are usually like 3 or even 4 stories tall. They don't really have much of an outdoor yard, but they look quite sizable actually, so that really surprised me. The houses look really well kept. People obviously take a lot of care and pride in their homes here. Like, lots of people set up these beautiful gardens in every spare inch that they have outside. So there's just like sprawling greenery on all the back streets. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Another cool thing we've noticed is that so many people are cycling here. Like, there are so many bikes everywhere. Yeah, this is one house. But there are like huge parking lots just for bikes. Never seen that anywhere.
Yeah, bike lots. Like when the
lots.
supermarket we go to, nowhere to park your car, but there's space for about 50 bicycles.
Also, a lot of motorcycles. Shouldn't be surprising upon further reflection, considering they have Yamaha and Honda and all that. They're kind of the founders of motorcycles, I suppose. People aren't just on the trains. It seems like there are very few people driving cars, in fact. Like, the inner city doesn't seem super congested with cars. Although, when we took the bus yesterday to Mount Fuji, we had major delays on the highway, so who knows. On that note of city congestion, even though there are, 22 million people in the city?
Oh, I thought it was closer to 16.
Oh, geez, I don't remember. But anyway, there are a lot of people in this city, and most of the time, it doesn't feel crowded. If you're in the major centers, like where we just were in Shinjuku, Shibuya, or Disneyland or something, like, those places feel really crowded, but that's about it. Like, right now, obviously, there's nobody on the streets with us, and that's most of the time. Yeah, I never felt like we were in thick, crazy crowds all the time. For example, look at the outside of this house. Look at all of those plants in the tiny little area that they have. But this is their house. Like, it's a nice, big, sizable house. And beautiful greenery outside. So we could keep walking around this neighborhood forever talking about the amazing things about Tokyo. But all in all, I feel like a lot of it for us was a dream come true kind of moment. Both of us had been dreaming about coming to Tokyo for many years. We tried all sorts of different types of food. I would say most of which was absolutely amazing. We had a few supermarket foods that were questionable. But I would put that down to mostly not being able to read what we were buying, just kind of winging it. Basically, spending 33 days in Tokyo was perfect. It was exactly what we wanted. And now it has made us want to come back to Japan and see everything else in it. So we intend to come back on many, many more trips to Japan and see the rest of the country. I cannot wait for it.